So we can use -m to check the machine account quota. Okay, so the machine account quota is 0. So I should have checked that first, but the machine account quota, basically we can't create a computer account. This may not be the intended path. Okay, so that might not have been the intended path. So that's why we're doing this on guided mode. So I should have been following the questions here instead of going down a rabbit hole. So it might be the path, but there might be another route that we're supposed to go first before we can do the RBCD attack. So we'll just type force change password. What user can modify the resource-based constraint delegation configuration? Okay, so I'm assuming it's one of these users that has the ability to modify the configuration to allow us to then perform the resource-based constraint delegation. So we'll go back to Bloodhound. It might be one of these users. It's either W Silva or Nichols. Okay. So here's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna change the password for all these users, W Silva, and then we'll do the same thing for R Nichols. And then one of these has to work. Okay. So one of these users can modify this to be able to allow us to perform this attack. We just gotta figure out which one. What user can modify? W Silva? Okay, so it's W Silva. How do we modify it? She's part of the Fin managers. Okay, so I wonder if we can just skip this step. Okay, so we need to set a SPN. Okay. Check out exploiting RBCD using a normal user account from James Forshaw. There's a nice post on the hacker recipes as well. Okay, so they gave us a link to a guide on how to actually exploit this, which is nice. So we'll just read this. Exploiting RBCD using a normal user account. Resource-based constraint delegate privilege escalation described by Elad Shamir in Wagging the Dog blog post is a devious way of exploiting Kerberos to elevate privilege on a local Windows machine. All it requires is write access to local computer's domain account to modify the MSDS allowed to act on behalf of other identity ODAP attribute to add another account's SID. You can then use that account with the service for user protocols to get a Kerberos service ticket for the local machine as any user on the domain, including local administrators. From there, you can create a new service or whatever else you need. Okay, the key is how you write to the LDAP server under the local computer's domain account. There's been various approaches, usually abusing authentication relay. For example, I described one relay vector with abused DCOM. Someone else has then put this together in a turnkey tool. One additional criteria for this to work is having access to another computer account to perform the attack. Well, this isn't strictly true. There is the shadow credentials attack, which allows you to reuse the same local computer account. But in general, you need a computer account you control. Normally, this isn't a problem as the DC allows normal users to create new computer accounts up to a limit. About the domain's MSDS machine account quota attribute value. The attribute default to 10, but an administrator could set it to 0 and block the attack, which is probably recommended. But I wondered why this wouldn't work as a normal user. The MSDS allowed to act on behalf of other identity attribute just needs the SID for the account to be allowed to delegate to the computer. Why can't we just add the user's SID and perform the S4U dance? To give us the best chance, also we have knowledge of a user's password. How you get this is entirely up to you. Running the attack to Ruby shows our problem. Okay. So what to do? There is a way of getting a ticket encrypted for a UPN by using the user to U extension. Would this work here? Unfortunately, when spring, okay. As we know, the TGT session key, okay. Using a normal user account, okay. Are we able to do this from Linux? Hacker recipes. Sorry about that. All right, let's see if we can read the attribute. So minimize this. Just use hacker recipes and packets. And Packet is a really useful tool. They have a lot of different modules used for doing a bunch of different things. So target. So this is going to be our target. I believe this is the DC. So the target is going to be the DC. Okay. Okay. So the attribute is empty. So we need to add the C rows user, or the W, which user was it? W Silver. So we need to add the W Silver user. Append value to the MSDS allowed to act on behalf of identity. So we'll add the W Silver user, move this, paste this in here, change this to W Silver. Now the target is going to be DC $. So for the controlled account, let's see, delegate from, okay. Can I just use W Silver? Okay, so attribute MSDS allowed to act on behalf of other identity is empty. Delegation rights modified successfully. So W Silver can now impersonate users on the domain controller via S4U2 proxy. So I should be able to coerce the DC to authenticate into W Silver, even though it's a user account. I can have the DC, I can coerce NTLM authentication into the W Silver account and then grab the domain controller's ticket. Okay, so testers can now use NTM relay to set the delegation rights. Controlled account can be a computer account or any other account. So it does not have to be a computer account. It can be a user account without for SPN-less RBCD. Once the attribute has been modified, the get ST can then be performed. Okay, let's try this. I think I did that incorrectly. All right, let's try this again. Domain user. Okay, so now we have the TGT for W Silver. So now we just need to obtain the TGT session key and packet. Okay, so now change the controlled account without SPN's NT hash with the TGT session key. Change the controlled account with, change the NT hash. Why are we changing the NT hash? We already have the password for that account. It's not making any sense. Let's see what this gives us. Okay, so phantom.vo, this user is going to be W Silva, password DC host. Okay, so now we'll just run this command to, right, so obtain a TGT through overpass the hash to use RC4. So we'll run this command first. We now have the TGT. It was saved in the wsilva.cache folder. And then now we can change the password. So you just do packet, change password. And then we'll just plug in the TGT session key. Wait, no, we need to obtain the TGT session key first. So packet dash describe. So now we can copy and paste this. And then we're going to change the password to this RC4 key. Hopefully this works. Password was changed successfully. User might need to change their password at next login because we set hashes unless password never expires is set. So then now obtain the delegated service ticket through S4U2 self. Oh wait, I did this on the wrong account. I'm supposed to do this on W Silva. W Silva, run this again. All right. And then obtain the delegated service ticket through S4U2 self plus UTU followed by S4U2 proxy. The steps could be conducted individually with the dash self dash additional dash ticket flags. All right, and then we'll just copy this in here and we'll run this command. Change the domain, just change this to fit our stuff. Okay, the SPN. We don't have an SPN. We didn't set an SPN. Am I obtaining the service ticket? Okay, I think this can be anything. I think this is the SPN that we're setting for the administrator. All right, bear with me, guys. This is a little bit different than how I'm used to doing this. I've never done it outside of not being able to create a machine account for it. So this method is a little bit different for me. Probably user W Silva does not have constrained delegation permissions, or impersonated user does not exist. Can we personate the domain controller? Okay. Okay, so let's try this. I think the SPN might be wrong. Shit. CIFS. Change this back to the DC. This needs to be a real SPN. So we'll just do DC $. Still didn't work. Okay, service principal names, term serve. Okay, that worked. So we just had to use the real SPN. I'm a dummy. The SPNs are in Bloodhound. So if you're not familiar with what the SPN is for the domain controller, you can just look in Bloodhound. There's other tools that could have gotten that for us, but I was just being dumb. So saving ticket in DC. So we have the service ticket now. So we should be able to authenticate, obtain the delegated service ticket. So now we can do a pass the ticket. So ticket converter, convert tickets, Unix to Windows, using Unix to Windows. We shouldn't need to convert it. We'll just export it. So we'll export the ticket. All right, and then passing the ticket. So then we can just use secrets dump and we should be able to do a DC sync with this ticket. And then -K, and that'll be DC. Okay, that didn't work. Kerberos pre-auth failed. Pre-authentication information wasn't valid. Okay, syntax is probably incorrect. I probably need to put the full domain name, domain, username, password. So the username is going to be the DC $. So it's the machine account, and then the password, I'm just gonna leave that blank at DC. And we'll use the -K flag because we wanna authenticate with that ticket. And then we'll make sure we have no pass, so that way it doesn't prompt us for a password. Still didn't work, okay. Let's see, put the DC IP in here. Okay, let's try with netexec. So we're able to authenticate. So the ticket is working. Okay, why is this not working? Status user session deleted. Okay, why is this not working? Okay, there we go. I just had to use the FQDN. So guys, always make sure you use the fully qualified domain name instead of just using the computer name like I did. Like I was saying before, a lot of these commands are very, syntax has to be super specific. Whenever you're doing anything within Active Directory, you need to use the FQDN. I've done that. I've known that, but I don't know why I didn't do it on here. But guys, that is how you abuse resource-based constrained delegation. That took a lot longer than I expected. A lot of times, you run into issues, things don't work, you have syntax errors that you have to diagnose, but figured it out. It was all because I had decided to just use the computer name. I did @DC and not dc.phantom.vo. So, but guys, that is going to be the end of this. Hope you guys enjoyed this video.